So here is the machine, the Grandmark 2. And let me take this tray off first. So, I guess the Grandmark 1, it didn't have the ability to kind of become more compact, I guess, with the I don't know what to call these little stands that pop up. But it is a big machine, like compared to even my Spellbinder's big, and I mean, this is really big and it's very heavy. But the good thing is that you can make it a little smaller, fit on a shelf. But even though it is heavy, I do equate that to it being really sturdy. Like, you know, when I'm rolling, it doesn't kind of bounce around and I don't have to like hang on to it as I'm cutting through. It's really smooth. So the heaviness kind of I equate to being really sturdy. It does come with this tray, which is also really heavy. It's a metal tray. This is the giant die tray. It says it is 15 1/4 by 19 5/8 inches. So it's pretty big. It's to be able to hold these large dies that AccuCut makes. But just for people that might have arthritis or just have weak arms, weak hands, fingers, just note that this stuff is heavy. But it rolls through like that. The machine does come with its own cutting mats. So this is just the regular cutting mat. As you can see, when I was doing some testing, made some cuts there, in there. And then this purple mat is called their cut and crease mat. And that's the neat thing about this particular die that I'm going to show you, that it will actually cut your pattern out as well as put the crease marks in it at the same time, which saves so much time and energy. So you're not cutting and then having to put score marks in afterwards and run it through multiple times or doing it yourself by hand. That's what I really loved about these dies that AccuCut makes, as well as you know, the whole machine, to be able to run these large patterns through without a lot of time or effort. So that was a big selling point for me as well. So let me just show you the die really quick. So this is the big die that I was just telling about. This is the A7 pocket card number 2 crease. So there it is right there. And I'm telling you, this thing is huge. Got my tape measure out. It is 15 by 18 inches long. So it is huge. But with the giant die tray, it fits perfectly. So I had, when I was doing my research before I purchased this, you know, I have a Spellbinder, I have another electronic cutting machine, and it wasn't big enough. And I was looking at getting the Big Shot Pro as well, which can fit some AccuCut wooden dies, but it doesn't handle these huge dies like this. The trays weren't big enough and the roller wasn't big enough. So I said, okay, I'm getting the Grandmark 2. And that's what happened. The important thing to note when you are using this huge die with the Grandmark 2 is you need the right size paper. So I went online and I purchased, it was on Amazon. Most of the stuff I get is on Amazon. This is Midnight Black 13 by 19 cardstock. So it will not fit regular 12 by 12 paper. That's important to know because I bought the wrong size paper before and it didn't fit and I was really upset. So you have to make sure it's big enough to cover this entire pattern, or else you'll get like half a cut and that looks strange. So make sure you have the right size paper, and as well you will need the right size cut and crease mat. So just for comparison, this is the size that it comes with, the machine comes with, and then this is the right size mat that you need. It's I can't remember off the top of my head. Again, I'll put it in the put everything in the description, but this is the larger mat that will fit over this huge die. So trying to make it so you can see the difference in sizes. So get the correct size paper and make sure you get the right size mat, the cut and crease mat. And this mat is how you will get the cut and the fold lines at the same time. You can't do that with the regular cutting mat like this that you're probably used to. So let's roll it through. So I've got my 13 by 19 paper, size paper, and you just want to make sure that it's covering all of the little lines where the pattern's going to cut and fold. So that looks good. Going to place the mat right on top. Make sure it's covering the whole die as well. And then you kind of push that metal tray, the bottom metal tray, in until it hits the rollers and it kind of stops. And then I'm just going to crank. And once it starts going, it's really smooth and it's quiet too. And like, you know, with my other cutting machines, I sometimes have to hold on to it because it gets a little shaky. This just stayed in one spot, which is nice. And then this is where you'll see the magic. You take off the cut and crease pad and voila. So that's my little extra scrap. I have a little box I always keep underneath me for my scraps. And look at that. It's a beautifully cut pattern with all the score marks already put into it. It's beautiful. So you can see here, these are the spaces right here where the folds will come in when it goes through the roller, and then the blades are actually embedded within this foamy part, and they pop up, or the roller presses it in. I don't know how the magic happens, but that's where the folds happen. And what's great is the folds are nice and deep, where I don't even need to use like my little boning knife. I can do it right by hand. And the creases come out beautiful. Just like that. So now I'll show how I adhere the little pocket flap to the card holder.